Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. You found the Gamers Social Club vidcast. I'm your host, Nathan, aka One Hot Dragon. I am joined by F-Bomb Fraser. How you doing, Fraser?
Good morning, Nathan. I'm good, mate. How are you?
Oh, I'm peachy. I got
And
and then I've got you all have heard of the top up and coming metalcore band Bad Omens. Well, today we have Dano Omens, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing, Dano?
Good. I'm going to admit I have no idea what you're talking about with the metal band, but it's good to be here finally.
no, that's fine. That's fine. We'll educate you. Don't worry.
Bad Omens is a great band. It's a great band. And then we have a special guest today, Joe, over from Digital Cyber Cherries. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well. Quite an exciting day today. So,
It really is, isn't it? Um,
mm,
so the Gamer Social Club is a vidcast where we get together and talk about video games every week. We are just starting out, getting used to things, and we could use your feedback. So please like, subscribe, comment for what you want to see from us and what we could be doing to change and better our YouTube channel. I'm going to jump right into it. Thank you so much for coming on today, Joe. We're really excited to have you here. Uh,
Yep.
and I want to start out with Dano. Dano, do you have any questions for Joe?
We're getting straight into the questions. Well, first, you had a
You're
pretty
welcome.
big announcement today. If you want to, if you want to tell everybody what your announcement is, you'll do it better than I will. But
yep. So, since launching on Xbox, which was the first. Oh, wait, when did we? I don't know when we launched. Now, the first of
30th.
what? The 30. What month are we on? This is how confused I am with all
June.
the
It was May
excitement. Are
30th.
we're in June, and
I'm
it was May the
pretty
thirty
sure it's
first. We
August.
launched. Yeah, no, May the 31st we launched onto Xbox, and I mean, to be honest, it was a few days ago we surpassed 100,000 copies, so it's actually just over 3 weeks we reached the big milestone. Yeah, over 100,000 copies on
It
Xbox
is
consoles.
wild.
So it's
Congratulations, Joe.
yeah, no, thank you.
That,
It's
that
insane.
is
It doesn't feel real.
no. That's a fantastic number, and I can only see it getting bigger. Like the game is brilliant. I'm having so much fun with it. We've been trying to tee up a gamer social club like game night, but because we are everywhere, all over the world, we haven't seemed to make it happen yet. I saw Nathan was online last night, and I was like, "Oh my god, Nathan!" But then he was getting off just as I was getting on. So
Yeah. Yeah, my kids
Safe
woke
to
up
say the
moments afterwards.
100,000. Safe to say that 100,000's blowing your expectations out of water. I remember talking to you, and you were like we'll get 50,000 in the first month, and we are double that.
Well, to be honest, we actually thought it would be with the team. We thought it would be realistically, given like the scope and what we'd known about what other indies had done, on Xbox. We thought it would be 10,000 in the first month, and that's including the pre-orders. And that would have still been really good for us. But to say we've got what over 10 times that in less than a month is just absolutely mind-boggling. It's crazy, and it is kind of it's very very rare to reach this number so quick, specifically on Xbox as an indie as well. I don't I don't think a lot of people realize just how much of a big achievement it is. You know.
How has that kind of changed your guys' perspective on things moving forward?
Um, do you mean in terms of what it enables us to do moving
Well,
forward?
just how the scope of things. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, for one, it's it's like it's life changing personally. This amount of copies sold, the revenue we've made as a company, and it allows us to be less stressed working on the game and working on future games.
Yeah.
And as a company, I mean, we finally can allocate like a sizable or decent amount for marketing, for example, which is hugely important when making games. So we can
Right.
actually have
Yeah.
somewhat of a little pot there for the marketing, and it also means we can invest more money into parts of the game that we weren't able to do before. For example, like spending a bit more money on QA, or maybe outsourcing certain areas of the game where we didn't really have the time to fully sort of focus on or enhance ourselves. And it just lets us be more flexible, because it really is a lot of money. It makes me laugh sometimes when I'm reading comments. It's from trolls, really, but they'll be like working out all the sales and saying, "Oh yeah, but they made this amount of money, and if you take the 30% and the 5% from Unreal and the tax and all this, they're only left with this. It's nothing really." And I'm like, but they're forgetting that over half of the sales are from the complete edition, which is a
Yeah.
lot more money than the base edition.
Yeah.
And also, just I've spoken to this before, about it before, but it's not so much about the money per se. Oh, we're rich. We're not rich. I mean, we are in our own way. We're doing what we get. This allows us to keep doing what we love every day. But like, it is life-changing money. Like, it really is, and it just makes me laugh when people are just dissecting the numbers and the revenue, and they do not have a clue. Like, they do not have a clue. But yeah, we were already rich before this, because, as you all know, I think most of you know, I was a painter and decorator for many years.
Yeah.
And it's only up until 2020 when I started to do work on games and marketing full time. So that to me is being rich. It's
Yeah.
cliche. I always say it, but how does the saying go? If you do what you love, you'll never have to work a day in your life, and it's very true. And let me tell you something: money, right? I always said this when I was decorating with my dad. Money does not make you happier. It relieves stress,
Hmm.
but it does not make you happier. And I know that from work. There's only so much money you can make with your own two hands physically. I know that with decorating, so I have a good perspective and appreciation on what this amount of money is. You see, it's good. You see, this is I can compare what I earn now, what I have earned through decorating,
Yeah.
and I may not be a millionaire, but you see what I mean. How I can appreciate how significantly more it is and has been compared to decorating. So. I'm going a little bit off topic there, I think, but
Oh no, you're fine.
Yeah. No, I have a question about, like you mentioned, the marketing. That's one thing that Nathan and I have talked about previously. Like, neither of us have got any idea about making a game whatsoever. And I'll use Hellblade as an example. Everyone was saying there's no marketing. We haven't done any marketing. We haven't seen any marketing. But everyone knows it's coming out. That's the marketing. That's the marketing in itself. And
yeah,
the fact that you say, like, they've got money put aside for marketing or whatever, does do you really need to do that now? Because, like, you've hit the 100,000 again. Like, that's marketing in itself. What kind of what more could you do to push out people to see this game?
So that's a good question. So one aspects of what we can look into and explore now is, for example, streamers, content creators, because
Yeah.
times have changed, and they're running a business now. It's a
Yeah.
business. They need to make money, and a lot of larger streamers, where it'll have a real impact on your return on investment, charge a lot of money that
Okay.
we couldn't really afford. And
Yep.
it's not that we'd go and spend tens of thousands now. We'd still have to be careful, but at least the option's there to have a proper discussion about it.
Hmm.
And it's more things like, again, when you have a good game, it will sell itself. And when you have more funding, like I said earlier, you can invest that time and money into making certain parts of the game better. And in
Yep.
itself, I'm a big believer in the best marketing is still word of mouth. I know it sounds
Absolutely.
obvious, but it really is. If you have a good game, I mean, there's lots of hidden gems, for example, on Steam, which probably would sell millions if they had the right marketing. Um, and they do say you can't market a bad game, but I think we're seeing you can.
Hmm.
You
Yep.
you really can. But it's a bit of a balance between the two. So it's more about the game itself and other things like paying for paid posts, paid promotions on social. Again, we can look into that. We're not just going to go and throw money at the wall. We're still going to be
Yeah.
very conservative and careful. But there's more options there, and the biggest thing we've seen is when you sell a certain amount of copies, like we have, a huge amount in such a short time, people start reaching out to you more and saying, "Hey guys, what can we do to help?"
Yep.
And this is especially, Xbox have been fantastic during the build up, and they've been amazing throughout. But especially when the game has gotten more traction, they were
Hmm.
like, "What can we do? Like, how can we keep going with this?" And that has just been insane to see. So, like you said, that milestone is marketing in itself as well.
Are you finding any of the social medias to be more beneficial than others? Because, like, for
Uh,
instance,
mm.
I follow you on most social medias, and it's very. Oh no, we lost someone. Oh, here we go. It's like, say, TikTok, for instance. Your TikToks come up like heaps, whether whether they're yours or whether they're, just content from other people.
Mm.
And I, like me, because I'm a content creator, kind of. I'm trying to be. I'm finding, like, Instagram, I get absolutely zero from Instagram.
Mm. That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's hard to answer. Uh, Twitter's been amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, was it more amazing before Mr. Musk took over? What really propelled Hypercharge was Twitter back in 2022. If you all remember when that post I made when we officially spoke about bringing it to Xbox, that went insanely viral because of Twitter, and it was like I call that day like the front page of the internet. That announcement pushed us to the number 2 top seller on Steam. It was just bonkers. So Twitter has been amazing, and other socials like Instagram, for example. A lot of indies struggle with Instagram. I
Hmm.
found it amazing. I built our
Interesting. Yeah.
account up to 136,000
Oh
followers, and we,
wow.
we go
Yeah.
viral all the time on there.
Yeah.
Facebook's probably the most difficult. We've had a lot of viral Facebook Reels on there. TikTok again, that's been amazing. It's just really random though, I find.
Yeah.
So it you got to sort of play to your strengths with it, but um, it's also understanding that uh, when marketing a game, you need to know what sort of content will resonate on certain platforms.
Hmm.
Not all videos. Like some videos I post on Twitter, the format or the type of the clip might not be exactly the same for
Yeah.
on TikTok, for example, or Twitter. Um, and I think overall, good or authentic marketing, what I call true marketing, marketing should make you feel things, right?
Yeah.
It isn't just about trying to sell a product. You're trying to tell a genuine story. People want to be inspired, and that's what I've always tried to do with Hypercharge. Is just be honest about our situation, try and be motivational,
Hmm.
inspiring, and just speak the truth about it, not try and exaggerate or something.
Yeah.
Just be genuine, and I think that has come through a lot in the marketing on the socials. So all of the socials have been amazing, but again, it's taken years to
Yeah.
understand it. I mean, the Hypercharge account is Twitter account is what 72,000 followers. We've had that since 2015. I remember I couldn't get over like 500 followers, so it's insane.
Yeah. No, well, oh, fantastic. I've got so many more questions around their marketing stuff, but I'll let other people other people chime in.
We actually.
Morning, Lady V.
Yeah, I was gonna say hi, Lady V. How are you? I think your mic is muted there.
Yeah, no, I was just dropping in. I wasn't supposed to be as part of the podcast today, but found myself having some time and really wanted to put it in to listen specifically because I like Hypercharge is such an inspiring story, especially how it has been getting on with the Xbox.
Yeah.
Well, everyone on Xbox now. So I was like, right, I have to dial in. I have to know like what has made this the way that it is. Like, so obviously you're saying that the marketing with Twitter and TikTok and stuff like that going really, really well. But have you found something very specific in the Xbox user base that's like sort of captured the imagination that you wanted this game to be?
So one thing that we really noticed was how can I articulate this? Is the type of game Hypercharges and how it resonated with especially Xbox players was certainly like parents, mums and dads, and I think the split screen support played a huge role in that. And whenever we would market the game towards Xbox players, especially on the TikTok lives, it's amazing how many mums and dads are in the live stream or and just so excited to play the game with their children or child. We've even received so much. I've received emails, messages of parents saying thanking us for making the game, for it allowing them to share a special moment
Yeah.
in the same room on the same couch with their child. And that's what I've noticed through marketing, the game and the feedback is more so than Steam. And I don't know if it's a generation thing with the Xbox, maybe we've tapped a certain audience, but certainly parents just are blown away by it. Late 80s, early 90s, babies sort of thing, if you were born then. It's insane, really. Yeah, the way parents love the game, and again, it's mums and dads. It's not just we have a lot of women who play the game who love it, and I think because it's very accessible, it's not like Try Hard, Sweatlord.
Yeah.
I think it was from Windows Central. I can't remember her name now. I feel bad. She's really, really loved it. Yeah, Jen. She absolutely loved the game, and she told me that one thing she loved was the aim assist and just how it was very easy to pick up and get into, And I know that with my wife, like she won't play anything that's too fast paced FPS games on Xbox, and yeah, she's probably being biased a bit, but but with Hypercharge, she loves it because it's you don't have to do too much thinking, especially on the lower difficulty modes. It's not a sweat game, is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, it's
Oh,
incredible that you've. Oh, sorry, V. Carry on.
No, I was going to say I fully agree. Like, I mean, the first game I ever played was Command and Conquer with my dad when I was like 4. So he brought me up to be the sweatiest little woman. Like, however, my nephew, who is he's only 3.5. He doesn't come round to mine very often, but I'm always looking for games that he can play when he comes over because I want him to be a wee gamer. I want me and him to have like really good times together. And the last time he was over, I fired up Hypercharge, and he was having such a good time.
Oh, really? That's
And
awesome.
even when it comes, even stuff on like Nintendo and things like that, he couldn't quite get a hang of. However, Hypercharge, he was all over it. He was like, he was loving it. He was absolutely loving it, and I could see his little gamer brain becoming a thing, and I was like,
Yeah.
yes,
So
yes,
cool.
we've got him, chaps,
Yeah,
we've got
that's
him,
so
Hook 'em in,
right now,
reel 'em in.
and it was it was absolutely wonderful. So yeah, I'm gonna have to
No.
just take a time to thank you for that, because
You're
it
welcome.
was
That's really awesome.
such a magical experience for me to be the aunt who is like, we're gaming.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, we're gaming. And
Oh.
every time he comes round now, he's like, oh, can we play the game with the toys? And I'm like, yes, we can. Of course we can. Come on, Leo, we've got it. We've got it.
Yeah, it's already
Thank you
turned
so much.
on. We're ready to go.
That's so cool.
How,
I
So cool.
I would love to jump in here because this is actually where like I wrote down my question because when I first saw Hypercharge, have you ever heard of a game called Sarge's War for GameCube?
No.
You literally,
Sarge's, that's not the Sarge's Heroes, is it?
it's
Franchise-
Army
franchise.
Man. Like you literally play like a toy Army Man.
Sarge's War. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I immediately thought back to that because me and my dad, I have memories with him playing that game, split screen on the GameCube, and when I saw Hypercharge, it like made me think of that. And when it was announced that like there was going to be split screen, I'm like that. I was like, okay, yep, I'm going to play that with my kids. So when you were sitting there talking about how like Xbox specifically the market for parents and stuff, I'm like, yeah, that's me. I'm like, I'm one of them for sure. And it's I mean I think partly maybe that resonates with the Xbox fan base a lot because it's easy under my household to have multiple consoles, share games a little more easier between me and my kids. It's got a lot of parental controls that makes it easier. So I think that's probably why you're finding a little bit more parents in that uh, in that area. But what's funny about all of this is so I went into this kind of expecting to relive some nostalgia from that time period of playing Sarge's Army with my dad, and I ended up finding like a totally different nostalgia of like I just want to go grab out all my old action figures, get on the floor and play with my kids. Like that was has been my reaction to this game. And seeing like the when you first start the tutorials and there's all the different toys on the shelf and stuff, you see the castle that everybody from the 90s had in their basement in their toy room that they played with, and I saw it, I was like, hey, I know that thing. And then I'm like, the Beyblades show up, spoiler alert, the Beyblades show up, and I'm like, that's my like Captain America catching Thor's hammer moment. I'm like,
I have no idea what Beyblades are, but I'm just saying. I don't know what you're on about.
No, we had Beyblades in Australia as well. Yeah, it's like a spinning top, and there was like a dome, and you each would have one, and they had different like attack rings on them that had little bits sticking out, and you could pull them, and then they would bounce around. And
Well, we totally didn't take inspiration from them.
no,
Absolutely not.
definitely.
Beyblades
No,
were never a thing in the UK. You can ask anyone. We've never had Beyblades. It's not never been a
really.
thing. Like,
Oh man,
that's wild.
it was I just absolutely loved it when those things showed up, and it just had me nostalgic to go like grab out the action figures. And the moment for me was, I think it's the second mission, right? You set up a bathroom, like the arena is a bathroom. And at first I'm like, why a bathroom? This doesn't make any sense. And then as soon as that comic at the beginning starts like illustrating the characters like playing around the toilet lid and like flushing, and he falls in the toilet, like I'm having unlocked memories watching this. I'm like to a little Nathan who's standing there with his Batman action figure holding Joker over the toilet being like, don't make me break my rule. And I'm like, and like just to kind of have those memories of when I was a kid was like unreal. I wasn't expecting that going into this game. And for me, as soon as I started like feeling that kind of nostalgia in a way that a game has, I can't really say a game has ever made me feel this way. And so I guess my question is I look at, I mean, I know it's kind of a bad word around like BioWare to say like, BioWare has their magic, Bethesda has their magic, and it becomes like a curse word around the studios to say that we have this magic. But was there a definitive moment for you when you said, we found our magic. We found our magic here at Digital Cherries. Like we've struck on something that's really special, and I think this is gonna stick in a lot of people's hearts.
It's a good question. That I think it's you think when the magic hits you, you kind of think it's just happened.
Right.
But I think for us and with Hypercharge, it's been like a sprinkle of magic all along the way, and we've always known that there's been a spark, right? With Hypercharge, but we couldn't get it to light into like a big fire.
Yeah.
But we always knew like kind of what audience would like it. But the moment again was in 2022. And bear in mind, we'd already had released on Switch and Steam,
Right.
where we were like, Steam's, we're grateful for Steam and Switch, of course, but I think I always said it to the team. I said I think Steam and Switch, for the type of game Hypercharge is probably the worst platform in terms of the audience, because it's so diverse, so sort of large, and which parent is really going to say, hey, child, do you want to come and play split screen on the PC? It's not really realistic. Not many parents will play split screen on a PC. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying it's much more accessible
Yeah.
on the couch on
Yeah.
a console.
Yeah.
Unless I've got that wrong, but that's how my friends do it. It's how I do it.
Yeah.
I can't
We-
imagine playing split screen on a PC. My
how-
dad
yeah.
built a gaming PC for us when we were 5,
Mm.
and not once in my life have I ever played split screen on a
Well, there
PC
you go.
with my dad.
So my
Like-
thought process is probably not far off.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, absolutely, never. It's not one time has it ever happened.
no,
And it's been a long time now. Like I'm saying, remember my dad built our PC when I was like 5, so 28 years has now
And
gone
you've never
past.
played.
I've never played split screen on a PC with my father, not one time.
Yeah.
Have I played it on Nintendo? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have I played it on Xbox? 10 out of 10. On the
Yeah.
PC, never. It's never happened. Like,
I think that's the thing about consoles, right? I never had PCs growing up as a child. My first console was like the PlayStation 1. And it was all about having your friends over to play games. Like Halo was the big one for us. We would get 4 TVs
or
and we
your
get 4
PlayStation 1.
No,
Halo.
sorry, no.
Sorry.
Like back, I'm moving on from
Just talk
PlayStation. Like the big one for me was Halo, with the 4 TVs, 4 Xboxes, linking them all up, playing 16-player swords and shotguns or whatever it was. That was super special. And moving on from that, like my wife doesn't game, but she likes to play Call of Duty Zombies with me. For whatever reason. I don't know why that game has grabbed her, but it has. We played right through from like Black Ops 2. We've always played the zombies together. The previous 2 have just removed split screen altogether. So now we can't play together. And it's just like, all right, well, that's a game that that's a memory now that, we just have to go back and play the old ones. But we are moving towards that like single player thing with consoles now, and it's fantastic that you have brought that split screen back to it. It's yeah.
You can't really explain what split screen was like to people who don't even know it exists, or what it is? You can only feel it, and you've got to play it to understand, because it was a shared
Yes.
special experience. Split, because it wasn't so much about the game when you reminisce games
No.
with what that had split screen. It was about who you played with,
Yeah.
who was there, who was in the room, and it was just the whole atmosphere, wasn't it? When I think about like playing early GoldenEye, for example, it's the game I remember, but what I remember more is playing with my brother, my sister, my friends.
Yeah.
That's what I remember. And the game sort of, it has its special part, but it's secondary to the actual experience. And split screen is just, that's something that's very close to our hearts. And I think any game we make, I'm pretty sure will always have split screen support.
Mhm.
I'm very sure of that. And I think, yeah, going back to what you said regarding the magic, I think the magic for us as a team is that's what we're about. We like to create memorable experiences, and everything we've worked on from like, I mean, we've had a few games in the past. For example, they all make you feel something. We developed a game called New Retro Arcade Neon, which was a virtual reality sort of simulator, and that took you back down memory lane, like to the 80s retro. It really made you, reminiscent and feel what it was like back then. Again, Hypercharge, your toys, action figures, just everything that we work on and do work on. We always try and come at it from sort of an emotional centric point of view, where how can this make a player feel, in terms of, we're big on nostalgia at Digital Cyber Shows. I'll say that we are big on nostalgia, but certainly with Hypercharge, and I call it has like a cross generational nostalgia effect, where it is like we're saying, it's a bonding experience, but it allows the parent, they're born in the late 80s, early 90s, to it's almost relive their gaming childhood through references that the game throws at you, and share that good sense of nostalgia with their child, and their child gets to create their own nostalgia for the future. So it's this clash of memories and this moment in time, and it's amplified by split screen, where it's like, wow, it's special, and it's something you will remember for a long while. And I think as a game, Hypercharge, it kind of will stand the test of time, and I believe it will be the go-to action figure game for many years, because the way it's optimized, the split screen, and I don't think really there's been an action figure game out there that's nailed how feeling like an action figure should be like.
Mhm. Yeah.
They haven't, no games really done it like we have, in my opinion.
No.
And I think it will last a long while, because it's a very simple. It takes you back to the original drawing board of classic shooters.
Yeah.
Um, it really does, and I am. It's not been easy over the years. Like I said, the initial concept was 2015, so we've been doing this for quite a while.
Yeah.
Technically speaking, it's not been easy to get here. But somebody once said, I can't remember. It was someone quite prominent in the industry. I can't remember who it was now. Said that, we don't really have any competition with Hypercharge, and I never really understood what he meant by that. But it it was like, it was last year when it hit me, and it was like, you know what? It doesn't really. It's not a Fortnite. We're not trying to be Fortnite. We're not trying to be Call of Duty. We're not trying to be Toy Story. And when you think about the gameplay, I understand the mechanics may not be for everybody, but there's no game that's really very, very similar to the premise, the mechanics, the features. So it stands on its. We've created something with its. We've been bold enough to say, this is us. This is our identity, and this is what we're going to roll with. And we went with it, and look, it's worked. And again, launching on Xbox has just, it must be that it must be that it's just resonated with it. And I think as well, Switch again is great. Switch is great for the split screen and whatnot, but it's limited by the hardware. Hypercharge, we got it looking amazing on Switch, but when we got it on Xbox, the team we were like, wow, especially on a HDR TV, it pops. It actually does get that Pixar sort of vibe.
Beautiful.
And it just looks amazing. I couldn't believe it when I saw it for the first time. To me, on my 4K HDR TV, it looks better on PC. It does. It visually looks crisper and more vibrant. Excuse me. And I think that helps, with the feeling like a kid again, getting the imaginations, the nostalgia going, because you're just like, wow, this is what it looked like, these toy battles when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. You go ahead, Fraser.
I was gonna say, this, please, I don't want you to give away anything or whatever, but part of what I love about Hypercharge is the end of battle scene, all the bits of toys just strolling around. That is,
And that's a feature as well.
yeah, it's so cool, because I remember things like, the rubber band in your GI Joe would break, but all of a sudden your GI Joe's in 3 bits and he's just cast aside. You get another one, try and get your dad to fix it or whatever. Was there anything in the game that you really wanted to include but just couldn't make it work?
Oh, I mean, that's another really good question. Quite a long one, really.
Yeah.
I'll try and do a TLDR version. So going back originally to 2015, we had sort of the original members of DCC, our indie team, and we had our sort of the original concept of Hypercharge was technically going to be a PvP multiplayer only shooter at first, but as we got into development with the game, moving on to 2017, we had a few more members come onto the team who weren't the original founders, who I'm with now. And unfortunately, we launched into Steam Early Access, and it was a disaster, complete disaster. The game didn't get really very well known, and the few players that did see the game didn't really like it at all. We launched during the Steam Summer Sale, which we shouldn't have done that because it was just marketing wise, launching your game on the Steam Summer Sale, you're just going to get overlooked completely. And the game just, it wasn't. We didn't really know what the game was, and because we had our own vision, we had the new people come on to try and help us because we weren't as experienced then. We brought some people on with a kind of more experience in their own way, but it just didn't work out. So lots of the newer team left, and all the original members stayed.
Yeah.
And we were left essentially with a big pile of turd. It really was. The game was just not in a good state. Technically speaking, feature-wise, it wasn't. And even just in terms of a vision, what the game is. So at the time, we had a choice. Do we work on another game and abandon it? Or do we try and what's the saying? Roll this turd in diamonds. And the thing is,
That's a new thing for me, but I'm gonna use it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
What I always use the old version of Hypercharge. But we couldn't work on another game because there'd been that much money invested into that version of the game. It would have cost more money to start from scratch.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't viable. It wasn't realistic. So we had, and also as well, there's a big element we didn't want to just leave because it had some DNA of our baby almost of what the game was or is or wanted to become. So I've actually forgotten can you remind me the question again so I can get back on track?
It was just like, is there any mechanics that didn't?
Oh, sorry, right. That's what I need to know. So because of the state the game was left in, Deck, the programmer, would be much better than articulating this than myself. But essentially, because the game wasn't like, with the newer members who were on board, and it wasn't really our vision and this and that, and they left, we were the way the game was designed technically wasn't how we wanted to design it. So, and what that meant was, from like a programming or whatever point of view, it's like, think of it like an onion with lots of layers and layers. The way it had been designed, technically speaking, it wasn't done probably the best it could have been, or how it should have been, should I say.
Yeah.
And what that meant was, if we wanted to strip something back and put our idea in or a mechanic, it would break like a web, using a web now as an analogy. It'd break lots of other things, and that could lead onto a dominoes effect. So we were very limited with what we could do. We had to be careful what we could scrape away, or we could break a lot of the game. And again, we had to be careful because we couldn't start from scratch. Because at the time, most of us were working full-time jobs. I'm still a painter and decorator. We're putting our own money into the studio. No one's really getting paid. We're not getting paid at this point. It's all our own money. So we had to be very careful. We had to make the most out of a best job. Hence, sorry, that's what I always say. The saying is, you can't polish a turd, and I always say, but you can roll it in diamonds. And that's what we did with
That's
Hypercharge. So yeah, there was lots of mechanics that we wanted to add to the game, and there's so many more I wish we could now, but we just, and it feels, I get embarrassed sometimes mentioning it, because it's just like, it sounds like an excuse, but it really isn't. Like, it's just, if you were there from the beginning, and a programmer would understand a lot more. But when you're saying it to a sort of your average Joe consumer, and I'm not saying that in a bad way, I just mean, I get it, they're not going to understand it at face value. But if you have a little bit of experience into game design, and again, those who were around at the time totally get it. It's just, we technically couldn't do it, financially couldn't put the time to start it over again, and there's lots of things I wish we could put into the game. There's lots of features that I see Xbox players mention, and I would love to say to the team, can we have this? And it's like, no, we can't do it. It's going to break so many things, the amount of work it'll take. So what I can say is, the mechanics that we can or never got into the game and wish we did certainly will make it into a possible Hypercharge 2, whatever that will be.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Okay, cool.
yeah. That answers your question anyway.
Yeah, it does. I guess, like, and then the other thing I suppose you have to think about is the people that do own it on Switch. Like, you can't, like, leave them behind, can you? You can't. Like,
Well,
the people
Switch,
that have,
right?
yeah.
So, talking about Switch here, you all must know how many developers launched on Switch and abandoned the game without no update. I mean, it was a big thing a few years ago. I'm sure it's still a thing now. We have a lot of Switch users, big fans of Switch, who are like, reference many games and are like, it just doesn't work. We launched on Switch, and I don't know how. I mean, it was Deck who worked the magic. We got Hypercharge working on Nintendo Switch. I really don't know how we did it. Considering the player bots, the split screen, the AI, you got to think, you got to optimize it. It has to be performant, you know.
Yeah.
You've got to think about the performance so it runs smooth, stable. And we launched, I think we've launched about 7 major updates on Switch. Whatever we would launch on Steam, we'd obviously launch on Switch. But you have a patch size limit with Switch, where if it gets so big, and it's really awkward for indies. It's a bit different for bigger titles. Definitely can get around it much easier. But because the game was getting bigger and bigger, we had to be more careful with the how we do the updates. But essentially, in the end, it was just like, we stopped updating the Switch simply because we were adding that many free major content updates to Steam. It was, and we knew in 2022 we were going to launch an Xbox and eventually PlayStation. It's just so counterproductive for us to, and not really sustainable, to update the game on Steam and then Switch, because we had an engine upgrade as well, so we had to strip everything back. Basically, what was it? It's like three steps backwards, one forward. If we continue doing it the way, again, I'm not explaining it the best technically. Deck would be much better, but it just we couldn't. we couldn't do it. The reason I mention that because it's just I understand it's frustrating for players. But what's so frustrating is when when as developers when you're launching things updates for free and you're doing it consistently. The moment you stop doing it and you try to be honest, they forget about all what you have done, and then they just see what's happening right then, and it's so frustrating because the Switch update, the Switch will receive an update, and I think it will. I think we're focused on the Switch update now before the PlayStation because we're at the point where we can do that, and then it'll be the PlayStation launch. But I totally forgot your question again as
No,
well.
you're good, mate. You answered it. It's fine.
Dano, you got some questions because I feel like you had a couple locked
Yeah,
in
I hear my
right?
kids screaming away here, so I better jump
my
in.
kids are too.
Yeah, I'm waiting for my wife to text me saying, "Get the hell up here." But so me and Joe, we've talked a fair bit. Well, I shouldn't say talk. We've been texting a fair bit. So when you were talking about your 100,000 announcement that was coming up today, that you did announce, this kind of goes back to the viral question about how everybody I saw like Culture Crave covering it. I saw stuff that doesn't even cover video games. It was blowing up everywhere.
Yeah.
Which is good for you. That's free marketing, really. But you talked about to me how it made it all the way up the food chain to Phil. So you can say that story better than I can, and you kind of gave it a little hint to me about it. But yeah, how did that story go from that to all the way up to Phil and what you've turned in now?
So essentially, what happened is I can't go into the full details of the conversation. We had some really nice conversations, meetings with Xbox, and one of them was with Chris Charler, I believe. Really, really lovely guy. He's like is he ID director? I believe that's his title for Xbox, like for indies. And yeah, that's it. Yeah, and we had a meeting with some other people as well, and every time whoever was in the meeting, they were saying, and we'd ask questions as well, but they'd say, the amount of buzz that was going on internally at Xbox, said it was crazy. Chris Charles was saying, I was getting emails from everybody saying, "What's happening? This game's come out of nowhere. It's blowing up. What should we do?" And then it was just lots of people were apparently like uh, talking about the game. So words, it was being word of mouth. It was all being spoken about, and eventually, it got sent to Phil Spencer, where he was like, "This game's cool," or "What's going on with this game?" I can't remember the exact thing what was said, but we were told it got to Phil Spencer, and he knows about the game, and he's liked when you could view likes on Twitter. He liked a lot of our tweets as well. We were liking, so it went up. It's amazing to see how everybody was. We were just this sort of kind of unknown indie game. It blows up, goes viral. Everybody at Xbox internally is talking about it, and then it's going all the way up to Phil Spencer, and it's just amazing. It's surreal. I've been saying I say it to the to the guys. Said it's Ulrich on the team. I said, it feels like. Say, am I going to wake up yet? It's like it feels like a dream. It honestly, that I've had like like. When you maybe this is just me, maybe because I'm crazy. Do you ever like go off and like imagine things, scenarios in your head, like positive things, like I wonder what would happen if this happened, maybe your job or something. Or for me, I'm always like, God, imagine if what if something went really viral and we saw this much, and imagine all this stuff in my head, what I'd do, who I'd tell this and that, and it's literally. I mean, it happened in 2022, but it's literally happening right now. And it's just I have to pinch myself like all the time. Sometimes I'm just grinning to myself. My wife will just see me like that, thinking, "What's he doing?" And I'm just like,
I mean, just
it's
in this
just
small
so.
time frame, you've told us about how, like, at one point you guys didn't even feel like you'd make it out the gate. Like, just coming out onto Steam during the Steam summer sale, and then to be at this point where you got Phil Spencer going through and, like, you could see the timestamp of when Phil Spencer was sitting there on his phone liking all your posts. I mean, that is amazing.
Yeah.
And we were close as well. 2017 was a dark time as well. I missed that part out. We were really close to like just financially, it was right before Nintendo Switch in 2020. We were so close from financially having to stop development because it was costing too much money.
Yeah.
Again, we're putting our own money into it. I just moved house as well, first home, and it was just we were really close to like, is this for us? Can we do it? And it, yeah, when I look back, it's crazy. It was a very, very, very tough, very scary, tough time. Although we had other jobs, when you've put your heart and soul in something at that point for years and a lot of money, um, when you're on the brink, it's frightening. But we all stuck together, and it is like a family business at DCC. It
Mhm.
really is. It's all very fair. The system we have, it doesn't. It sounds weird, but I don't really feel like I'm working in terms of not just because it's what I love, but because of the people I'm around as well. It's not like I have somebody over me saying you have to get up at 7 a.m. and if you don't, I'm going to say, well, show me your work. Where's this? We have a very good system. It's not like that. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I'm very grateful, for that as well. But we've had to work incredibly hard to get to this point, and we'll continue to do so. But I mean, I don't know what overall sales we're at now. I can't say obviously the exact number, but it'll be coming up to at some point 500,000. And I know like early access launch in the first month was 500. And Ulrich and I always say we want to do a talk at GDC from 500 to 500,000,
Yeah.
which is absolutely insane. It really is. And we
And
still
you
got PlayStation as well. We still
Mhm.
got PlayStation.
Yeah, that's exciting times. Super exciting
and
times.
you keep talking about your original six. Are you guys like friends that started this, or is it just a bunch of developers that came together? What's your story behind the team?
So there was a zombie game on Steam. I don't know if any of you are big PC gamers, but it was called Contagion, and it was a spiritual successor
I
to a
played
very
that.
famous. Oh, really?
Yeah, I have
Ah.
played that. Yeah.
Well, it was a spiritual successor to one of the most popular Half-Life 2 mods on Steam called Zombie Panic. Zombie Panic Source. I think it was the most popular one at the time, and we met all through on that game. We met through that game. So we didn't know each other in real life. It was through this game, and we were the original developers of that as well. A different company, and we left that um, after that launch because it wasn't a very nice place to work, and we all set up our. That's how we set up our own studio. So that's another cool story. And I'm in the company's actually registered in the UK, so I'm in the UK. Deck, the managing director, he's in the UK. Ulrich, Germany, and then we have Nick's in the UK, and then Josh, both of them in America. So we all work remotely, but we all have met up quite a few times. We used to
Yeah.
do it quite a lot, but then COVID obviously sort of put a spanner in the works. But it's amazing the bond we've built up from not meeting originally, and to say we've been friends. I mean, we've been friends since it's been over 10 years now. Because Contagion was 2013, and some of the other guys have known each other probably a little bit longer than I have. But overall, we've known each other for 10 years, and you have your fallouts sometimes, like a family does, a family business. But
Mhm.
we get on very well. We look after each other. And when you're seeing all the layoffs, unfortunately, in the industry, um, again, I keep saying I'm very thankful for the position we're in. And I think this is incredibly positive news to share what we're doing as well.
Yeah.
It isn't to boast or anything like that. I mean, in a way it is, but it's more, again, that it's possible. If we can do it, you might not do what we've done, but if you can just do even half of it, it's a huge achievement. I mean, we are living proof of it. Um, we, and it's a small indie team. Me, literally cleaning out gutters to doing what I'm doing now. Anybody can do their dream job. It's just the truth is, pardon me French, it's just fucking not easy. Don't let anyone tell you that it's easy, because it's not easy. It will be hard. There will be tears. There will be late nights. There will be fallouts. There will be lots of tears, but it is doable. You can do it. So if there is anybody out there who is an aspiring game developer or anything in life, like the first step is the first step. You have to take the first step, and it's scary. You have to take risks. You have to speculate to accumulate. There's lots of things, but you can do it. And happiness and success is subjective as well. You know, um, I happiness to somebody might be making millions and millions of pounds and buying a bloody Aston Martin, but happiness for other people can be um, just having a standard car, but being able to, like I say, go to the movies and not stress about how much that's going to cost. It's all subjective and relative. So yeah, that's my little motivational thing there. Anybody, you can do anything, you really can. If I can do it, I've no bloody GCSEs, no grades from school. Honestly, I hated school. If you were to say to me at 15, if I thought I'd be in this position, I would not believe it. And that upsets me, that, because I know just how low and my confidence, what it was like back then. I wouldn't believe it. But I kept on. I just tried. I just tried. But you've gotta keep on going, and that's what we've done as a team. We've stuck together, and it's been difficult. And I think a lot of people, unfortunately, and again, I know it's not easy, but they get so close to achieving what they want, but when it becomes reality and it's scary, when you can see it right there, a lot of people let go and they go all back to the bottom of the ladder, and they have to kind of start again. But just within reason, I'm not saying here sell your house to do something.
Yeah.
It's a marathon, not a
Yeah.
sprint. Just start doing it. I mean, with what you're all doing with the website, Gamer Social Club, like you're pushing with that. You're reaching out to developers. You're making connections. You're not waiting for it to come to you. If you wait for things to
I was
come
just
to
gonna
you,
say, I
you're
think
going to
that's
be
why
waiting
your
a long
story
time.
that's why your story resonated so well with me, because I have two jobs. I'm very busy, but gaming is my passion. It always has been, and I'm not making any money doing this. Like, I shouldn't say no money. We're making hardly any money. That's not gonna buy me anything of substance. Maybe one day it will. Who knows? We'll see. But it's not about that. It's about doing something I love, and your stories really resonated with that. So it's not about making the money. It's about covering games, and I think
Mm,
that's our whole team is kind of like that. Like, everybody that I've brought into the team,
Yeah.
they just have a passion for gaming. They're not here for the fame and the fortune. And again, we're not getting any fame or fortune, but you know what I mean. Like, it's a very passionate thing, and it's just like you passion is making video games. And I mean, if you make a ton of money, that's awesome, but you're doing something you love, which is the
mm,
most important thing to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
mm,
Like,
second that. I'm so stretched thin right now. I'm right there with you, Dano. It's like I don't know how I'm able to put any time into the website or the YouTube channel, but I just keep doing it because I just love it. Like, I absolutely love it. I feel a little more fulfilled in my life and everything. And man, Joe, I could talk to you for hours. I can tell just everything you're saying is tugging at my heartstrings and speaks to me at a very deep level. Something that we're both Batman guys, right? So like, I'm actually one of the few people who are I'm very in love with the third movie in the trilogy. Like, I love Batman Rises because the thing that spoke out
mm,
to me about that movie so much was Bruce Wayne being stuck in that pit and how symbolic
mm,
it was to have be literally broken in every possible way, spiritually, mentally. His every bone in his body is broken, and he just sees his whole world burning, literally. And he's got to climb out of that hole, and he keeps falling and breaking his back over and over and over again. And I can just see it in your eyes when you're talking about like those moments of just like you it's like there's something there that you fucking made it out of that pit, and it's awesome, man. Thank you so much for sharing all that.
Yeah,
No,
thank
you're
you,
very
Joe.
welcome. I think it's I think it's important to talk about, because it's all part of the journey
Yeah.
with making games, and I don't want people to also just think, oh, look, sometimes people we as humans have a tendency to think, not necessarily us, but in general, I think there is a generalization where you look at people's success and you think that you see them at the top of the mountain, but you don't see what they've had to climb,
Yeah, yeah,
And
Yeah.
I like to be open about the journey. It's not easy. Like, you want to get up here, well, I'll help you. I'll tell you what I did, but it's fucking hard. I don't want to. I'd never want to mislead somebody. But the thing is, it's possible. It really is. When I was most of my time was when I went through a terrible time where I was in my life in 2016. I moved back into my mum and dad's house. It was a bungalow, 1 bedroom. My mum, bless her, let me. She slept on the couch. I slept in the tiny little bedroom. The office was in a converted garage. I get on with my dad so much. I love him to bits. But honestly, the room we shared, the computer room, right? I mean, I'm sat here, and he's literally right behind me on his computer. And the times I'd have meetings, and he wouldn't wear headphones. I'm having a meeting with the team. He's watching war movies, like boom, 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 and I'm there, and I'm like, Dad, what you do? Will you turn it down? And he goes, "You're talking too loud." We never fell out, but and the late nights I'd got away with it a little bit. In fairness, it made it more awkward because it was a family business, the decorating. But the late nights I remember one time in the bathroom, I was just retching, trying to be. I had that many late nights, and again, this wasn't all the time, but it was just again, it's not easy. Doing what you really want and you're passionate. It's like my brother, for example. Love him to bits. He's in the family business. It's not really what he wants to do, and I've given him a lot of advice. You help where you can, and he's got a kid. He's got his family. Not got it the easiest, but he's doing a proper university course. Like the at home ones, and he's been doing that for 2 years, and finding the time for it. I don't know how he does it, but you
They're
can
rough.
do it.
It's the Open University. Like those
Open
are there's
university, yeah,
so much time, so
yeah,
much time you need to do
they
to
are,
go through
yeah.
that.
But again, the word it's possible. It's
Yeah.
possible. So yeah, no, it's good to talk about. I just again don't want people to think, oh, they're super happy, they're this, that. It's like I go to therapy. I still go to therapy. Let's just say I made £1 million. We haven't. I'd still go to therapy. I probably need it more. Too much money is stressful.
Yeah.
yeah,
It is.
Yeah.
I know what it's like
Yeah.
earning the money I've got now. How the guilt it makes you feel when you've been brought up with not a lot of money, and you suddenly get a significant more than what you've had. It's difficult to deal with. It really is. So it doesn't make you happier money. It can relieve stress, but it brings its own stresses. And again, the amount of money is relative, but it is life changing what's happened, and it opens up so many new doors for us. And I just, with the team and the whole team, all we want to do is keep making games that we love for the rest of our lives. And I really hope, touch wood, I can keep doing it with my best friends. I really do. We've managed to do it for 10 years so far. I hope we can do it for another 40, 50 years, I
yeah.
really, really do. Because that's the
Wow.
dream, isn't it? It is doing what you love.
I mean, keep
Yeah.
doing what you love and don't burn yourself out. I
Mm. Well,
uh
I think
I
it gets less that. I think it does get less the more you because we're all gaining knowledge, experience, and I think as I've gotten, I'm in my 30s now, but as I'm getting older, I'm realizing you learn to work smarter, not harder,
Definitely.
and
think
you don't, instead of when we're a bit younger, you try and maybe want to prove things to yourself subconsciously, even if you don't know. Like you want to walk down the really long path, but as you learn and get older and learn from other people, you're like, you know what? I can take the shortcut. It's not really a shortcut. It's just being using my head and going the quicker way. I can still learn as much.
Mm.
And one thing I always say as well is to people, because people always say in podcasts when they see it in the comments is, what advice could I have for indies or people aspiring for any job is surround yourself with like-minded people, driven people who have drive, because you are what you consume, and it isn't just calories or food, that it's information,
Mhm.
it's energy. If you're around people who don't want to, and it's up to them, but don't want to push themselves or reach for their dreams or aspire to be a better person in certain aspects, and you're around people like that, it's very likely you will be like people like that. Surround yourself with like-minded people and you will learn from them. They'll rub off on you, like in
Mm.
lots of ways,
Yeah.
and you'll get to where you want to actually quicker. You really will. I think that's very important, and that's what helped me a lot. Again, I'm not an academic person, but because I surrounded myself with very intelligent, positive people, and that's what significantly helped me. I can't program, but I can converse in talking about the Unreal Engine. I can understand what a programmer is saying, because I've been around that so much, and it's the same with anything. I think Ansel Adams was the famous photographer. He wasn't very academic, I don't think, with lots of things, but he was a very intelligent man because he was surrounded by lots of people in different sort of professions, and he picked up a lot. It's amazing what you pick up from other people.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's one thing I was going to ask. Like, obviously, it's a very UK centric question, but would you like to see more like apprenticeships and things around video
Mm,
game? Obviously, we've got a massive video game industry, especially like I'm in Scotland, so you've got Dundee, you've got Rockstar, you've got all this stuff like that. But it's not necessarily an industry where you see things like apprenticeships and stuff like that. And I just
yeah.
wonder what your thoughts are.
No, I mean, I was an apprentice fence and decorator, so you learn a lot from experience. What is the saying? Experience is the teacher of all things. I'm a big believer in that. And with the games, I think it's because it's all about hitting sales figures. Why hire an apprentice when you can hire somebody with all this experience and ticks off the dots and I's? And it's sad to say, give if I was never given the chance when I got into the game industry, if it was just based off academics, I would never have won't be doing what I'm doing now. And it's a shame that there's lots of talented people out there, lots of driven people out there, where they were given just a chance, they could
Mm.
excel and learn all the things that somebody has. I'm not saying uni and this stuff is bad, but like apprenticeships are very important, and it opens up the doors to people who, again, aren't as academic or learn differently. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
not
no,
fair.
definitely. I
Just
don't think it's well, for me it's not it's like academic versus like, well, I don't know how to say it, but it's like how book smart versus like street smart, I think is
yeah,
how my parents would always put
yeah.
it. It's like you're not smarter than anyone else just because you can learn something
No,
from a
no,
book.
yeah, yeah,
Because it's just about how people learn, isn't it? So
yeah.
like you
Exactly.
learning it at uni doesn't mean you're more clever than someone who's learned it in an
No,
apprenticeship. Like,
no, no. Yeah, yeah. No, exactly. Um,
mm,
you, I hope one day, if we get established more, we could take on, like, if we had the time to do it, the apprenticeship, or I'd love to be able to. If we got to the point where we got more known, we could go to a big company and say, "Hey, this is so and so. Could you, could you, if we could advocate for it more." It's difficult, isn't it? Because you should always advocate. We all have a voice, but in our industry, certainly, it's difficult to get stuff out there if you don't necessarily have a huge following because people just don't see it or and people don't unless you I've forgotten the terminology for it, but people don't really believe what you say unless it's like a social proof. You see what I'm saying in terms of like
Yeah.
a larger crowd around you, and that's more difficult. But there's a few schemes with apprenticeships. I can't remember one, but it's certainly not as much. I mean, the amount of job applications I do see, especially in the games industry, you are right. Like I never see apprenticeships open. I've never see it. It's literally. I mean, there's been complaints about the criteria. So sometimes you have to fill out for these things. It's like what? How are you? So it's just going to be the massive people with huge years of degrees experience who are only going to get the jobs. Even like the smaller interns who may have had some, book smarts don't get much of a chance of seeing as well. There was a big thing, loads of news about that. I think was it last year, a couple of years ago. I don't know what it's like now, but
Now,
Yeah,
Joe,
very much a situation of I require you to have 3 years of experience for this
yeah,
entry level job. I think.
yeah.
now, Joe, I know we
But
kept you.
somebody might have learned more on the two. Sorry, I say somebody might actually have more experience in less time. Experience isn't just time; it's wisdom, and it's what you do
Yeah.
with the time. You could have somebody who's lived a life until 100 and have somebody who's lived till 50, but the person who's lived to 50 has lived more of a life, met more people, been more places, and learned more. Who's wiser? Who's more experienced? It isn't defined by time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say I know we've kept you a little longer than an hour already, so I
Yeah,
I
no
wanted
worries.
to try to like give you an option to get out here. If you don't mind, I just got like two quick rapid fire questions for you. One, do you think you might ever do like a collector's edition? Or maybe in your alleged hypercharge 2, maybe doing like something with limited run games where you do like a action figure of like the cover figure or something.
Yeah, a max ammo action figure.
Yes, yes,
I would be on
please.
that. I would be on there. I'd put it
Same.
up here. And
Yep, yep.
A limited physical edition, yes, that is something that is probably, maybe, likely, very likely. I'll leave
Very
it at that.
likely. Okay. All right. I'm going to quote you on
Right.
that. Okay. No, I'm just kidding. And then the other thing is, it feels very personally attacked now. That you were going for emotional attachment when you took the alleged Power Rangers and had the power. When I saw them come out, I was like, it wasn't supposed to be like this. that was great. So I guess my question is, why emotionally traumatize me like that?
We want to pull on your heartstrings. Or technically it's Major Evil who's making you feel like that
Oh,
in the
Major Evil. That
story campaign.
yes, Major
Yeah.
Evil.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to let you get out of here. Thank you so much for your time, Joe. We've really enjoyed having you on
Yeah,
here.
no worries. If there's any more questions, if anybody else has any, feel free to ask.
Yeah. If you got
I
more
do
time,
have one.
hell yeah.
I just got one, and again, it could be a question for all of us. Like, we talk about our childhood toys and all that. Like, do you have a standout childhood toy that you played with all the time?
So, it's between. So we had Action Men growing up in the UK. I don't know if it was in the US.
It was in New Zealand. We had Action Man. Definitely.
Right. I was obsessed with. There was one particular one that I had. I was obsessed with, and then probably very close was Stretch Armstrong. I love those things.
Yeah.
But I'd have to say Action Man plays a big place in my heart. It was one of the original ones with it was like a Jeep. And I love that thing. I collected a lot of Action Men, and yeah, I was obsessed with them. So I'd have to say the Action Man. It was one of the very first modern '90s one that they brought out. with the Jeep. That was one that I had for years. I wish I had it now. I think I went on eBay once to try and find it because I wanted to buy it again.
And it was probably something astronomical, right? You're just like, I'm not
Probably,
paying that.
yeah. I don't think I
Yeah.
could find it, to be honest. But and then obviously I have my small. So I'm trying to collect more of the small soldiers. I want all of them, to be honest. So I'm going to hopefully get the full collection one day.
That's awesome.
You see, I've always done it. I resonate towards the bad guys. So, like, for me, growing up, I hated the G.I. Joes. I just wanted all the Cobra commanders. They just look way cooler. And I remember one year I got this like helicopter. It was like a Cobra helicopter for Cobra Commander, and you could pull the ripcord and it would kind of zoom up and fly around. I used it once and it broke.
Oh.
And my mum took it back and got me a replacement, and it came back and it was like a G.I. Joe one, not a Cobra one.
Oh,
So devastated. But it was fine. It was cool. I could put all my Cobra guys in the G.I. Joe copter that they stole and fly around.
Imagination.
Yeah. It was so good. What about you guys? Have you got any
Lord of the
anything?
Rings.
Oh,
Lord of the Rings figures
Pokemon
and
was mine.
Batman. Oh, Pokemon. Oh, yeah.
My
Oh,
parents
yeah.
kept all. I have these little like 1-2 inch Pokemon that I think I had all 150 of the originals, and my parents actually kept them. So now when my daughter goes over to, she plays with them. So it's kind of cool to watch her.
It's so
She has no
cool.
idea what they are.
They
She's only
must be like
2,
a
but
fortune, Dado. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus.
probably. But I'm sure she's gonna break them all by the time she's done with them. But, yeah.
That's amazing. What about you, Lady V?
My favorite toy when I was growing up, I had a like a remote control car, but you charged it up with the controller of it, and it made this very specific noise when you connected the charger to the car, which was like a like I can't even explain it, but it was also a Sonic the Hedgehog car. And it was my favorite. I got it when I was like 4 years old. And it was my favorite thing in the world. I used to take it everywhere. I'm pretty sure my parents were annoyed that they bought it for me because you couldn't take me anywhere without me with my little Sonic the Hedgehog like remote control car, and I would just run into people's houses and I'd be like, and then just rattle it around people's houses.
Gotta go fast.
And to people's feet, shoes, everyone, cats, dogs, anywhere.
Yeah.
Loved it. Best
that's
toy
so
in the
cool.
world. Like,
That is so cool.
In that same
Yeah.
vein is the... Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say I think it's like with Hypercharge, like when we're talking like this is where it does pull at your heartstrings, doesn't it? Because it reminds you of, and I think this is what's good about the parody. People always say, "Oh, can you add real franchise toys?" But I think we'd lose its identity then. It's the parody and the references that give it its magic as well, and that's why we've not gone down. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to get a Master Chief as a DLC maybe in because it's so requested. I would, but in terms of the whole game, that's why we've gone down that route because we're all talking and reminiscing. It's it's a special thing when you can reminisce, and I mean memories are all we got at the end of the day. You know, we leave this earth with people. We leave it with our memories with other people when we go. You know, our legacy sort of thing, and it's very important. And then this is why it's so special. Hypercharge as a game, it's getting me really thoughting deep about it all I'm thinking of like Christmases now and certain toys like, oh wait, I remember I had this Batman mobile car. I'm thinking all these things, and it's just you would want to be you would want to be kids forever, don't you? Really?
Yeah,
You
definitely.
really do. And I mean, that's what I was saying earlier. I'm just
why
like...
we play so many video games?
Well, yeah. Well, that was the thing is like I was expecting to feel nostalgic for older video games, and instead I was nostalgic for picking up my toys, like my old toys, and getting them out with the kids, and just like, hey, let's like imagine this crazy scenarios. And that's what I was gonna say earlier was in that same vein to my story about the whole entire toilet seat fight. Was there any memories of yours of playing with action figures that inspired one of those maps in the game? Like,
Um, well, the toilet one was actually a reference from. Oh God, I'm not going to go into detail, but a mishap with one of the members of the team with the toilets in went to RTX Rooster Teeth convention in Texas.
yeah.
God, I won't go any more detail. With that very, very, very funny story. Probably not the right time for that now. But were there any other ones? There was like, to be honest, it was more. There was a lot of references from other games. Like the garage level was inspired by Toy Story 2 on the PS1. I think it was the PS1.
Oh my
And
gosh, I forgot about that level.
yeah. You remember?
Dude,
If you go to
yes.
YouTube, you'd be like,
I thought it was Rugrats. I'm like, but it is so Toy Story 2, but I can get it. I can see it.
Oh
Toy
my
Story. If you
gosh.
search Toy Story 2 garage, you'll be like, wow.
Yes. I forgot about that. Sorry, I'm geeking out. Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else in terms of actual what happens in the comic. Maybe some of the team members. I don't think there was. Funny enough, it was more.
Yeah.
Maybe subconsciously, and I don't know, I'm missing something, but I don't think there was really anything where it was in particular like this happened in real life. Let's add this to the comic. I know there was a reference to the pizza in the kitchen being burnt, and it's because I'm known for burning food. But I'm trying to think of anything else.
Even with
Don't
with
think there was.
the map with the toy store and the lights are out, I'm just like, I forgot what it was like to like be a kid and go into Walmart, Toys R Us, and be like, oh man, wouldn't it be so cool if my parents just accidentally forgot me here and I got to play with all these toys all night? I was like, when I was playing that level, I'm like, you guys had to be thinking about the fact of like the lights are dimmed out because the store is closed, like. Yeah, because I mean that's what I always thought of as a kid. I didn't even. Again, just distant memories that you just forget about, and Hypercharge was bringing
Yeah,
all of that out for me.
yeah. It's so nice to hear that. It really is like, face to face hearing that.
Yeah,
There was a Pure Xbox posted about the news, and on the Facebook page, I saw that it was quite a top upvoted comment, and somebody, it was so wholesome. It was this guy who was going into detail about how the toy store level made him just want to go back. He used to go there, apparently. He said something like, I used to go there all the time with his dad, and he went into a bit of detail about how special it was and how it just reminded him, and it's so nice to read stuff like that. And yeah, it's so, I can't tell you how wholesome it is to hear it, because the game's doing what it's set out to do as well, and it's
Yeah.
nice to hear that. It really is nice to hear that.
I love the scale of it all as well. You're like almost the scale of a child in the toy store, looking up at the shelves,
Yeah.
looking up at the computer desk.
It's
Oh,
all the
so
stuff you can read as well, like hilarious things on the packaging.
yeah, it's cool. Like having to turn off the computer in the bedroom, and the
It's simple stuff. It
Right.
is really
Yeah.
simple.
yeah,
I don't, and it's not the like. If you like, there's people's. I mean, a lot of the trolls, especially on TikTok, think like it's a Call of Duty. It is very simple. It doesn't have aim down sights. But it wasn't designed to be like that.
it doesn't
It's
need it.
not designed. No, it is simple. It's a collectathon as well. It's very simple to find the keys in the kitchen or something. But that's what we grew up with in the
yeah,
early 90s with a lot of games, and that's what we wanted to stay true to the identity of the game with a vision. We didn't want to have all these complex things. Yes, we were limited to a degree, like I said, technically, but also we wanted to keep it reminiscent of all the games because
Yeah,
that's what it was. And again, it makes it more accessible.
yeah.
yeah,
That actually reminds me because you were talking earlier, way back towards the beginning of the interview about where you were directing this game into specific audience. You were going for something specific, and it made me think of I don't know if you saw the CEO of Helldivers 2 last week made a quote in regards to Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, and he was like, a game made for everybody is not for everybody. And I can't help but think of that quote when we're talking about Hypercharge, because I'm like,
Mm.
you guys were going for something specific and you tapped into something really special here, and clearly it's found itself resonating with a lot of people, and I can see the truth behind that statement in
Mm.
Hypercharge. And I just think that's really cool. I was going to say something else, but I
Mm.
lost my train of thought.
No, you're right. That's me all the time. No, you are. You're right. It's you got to be careful when designing games. That it's great to obviously take feedback, have a community around, and you incorporate their ideas, but you also want to keep true to your vision. You want to have your DNA as developers, as a student of your game, because you don't want to get too scared where you think I've got
Right.
to. You're making an FP a first person shooting, and all of a sudden it's turned into a racing game.
Yeah.
Extreme, but you get what I mean. You know,
Yeah.
you got to be careful with that, because you're right. Not a game made for everybody isn't made for everyone. It's very true. You can and you will not, and you shouldn't have to please everybody,
Right.
because video games, making games is an art form,
Right.
and art is subjective.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
You don't go and paint a picture to please everybody. You paint it because you want to express how you feel,
Yeah.
and that's what Hypercharge is as well. It's how we felt. We loved action figures. We wanted to feel like kids. This is how we want to make you feel like kids, and we'll sprinkle a lot of your ideas on top. You
Right.
know.
Right. And I
Yeah.
mean, honestly, I the thought that I had that left me was the fact of like, if people are going to compare it to Call of Duty, then I mean, another reason to add to the outrageousness of that is your guys' enemy diversity and how many different types of things you're fighting and shooting. And there's freaking bouncy balls, people. Okay,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
really going to compare this game to Call of Duty? Come on. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly. Exactly.
outrageous.
Yeah.
Um, Lady V, do you have any more questions? I know that was you covered all your questions, right, Fraser? And
Yeah,
Lady
I
V,
did.
did you have any more?
No, I know I jumped in at the last
Yeah,
minute
you're
and just
good.
sort of hijacked everything.
We
So,
had some
but
technical
no,
difficulties earlier when you jumped in.
absolute honor to sit and chat with you. So
Oh,
thank you so much. Like,
and then Dano, did you have any more questions?
He's gone, mate.
I think is he gone? Yeah, it must be his
He
kids.
he sent a message before something about the kids.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
There is one more thing I'll mention, because
Go for it.
it hasn't been asked yet, so I'll ask it myself.
Yeah.
Because I know it'll be something that
Is
will get
there any
mentioned.
questions you would like to ask yourself, Joe?
No, because Dano mentioned it, and I think yes, when we were talking, but about Game Pass. So you've all probably seen the tweets when I mentioned about Games Pass, and when it was targeted towards certain,
Yeah.
trolls. And so, what happened after that was there was a lot of users, I say a minority, a few, and it always seems like it's a lot, but it's always a minority, who were like pulling up some of my past tweets where I was specifically talking about Game Pass for Hypercharge, and kind of felt like it was unfair, because it was a typical "ha, gotcha" moment.
Mm.
Look at you did, and I've never hid anything or hide. The tweets are all public, and it was like, see, your game's not good. It didn't get accepted on Game Pass, and you were begging for it, and you were saying it were going to come on Game Pass, and now because it's not, you're saying it's bad, and it's like, I never said Game Pass was bad. What I said was that not every game has to be on Game Pass in order to be successful, and not just because a game isn't on Game Pass, so doesn't mean you shouldn't give it a shot. You shouldn't buy games.
Right.
And Game Pass is great. I've used Game Pass. I still do. It has its place, but it's not necessarily the right fit for every game and the type of game. This, and and even if we did get in Game Pass, and bear in mind, it might be possible still later down the line, I would still advocate for against, and it was targeted at the trolls. At trolls who say game's dead on arrival if not on Game Pass. Game Pass or wait and buying. That
yeah,
is so frustrating, and I hear it a hell of a lot. It's
Yeah.
so annoying when you've worked so hard on something, and somebody just says it's going to be dead because it's not on Game Pass. It's so annoying. It really is so annoying, and especially when you got to imagine not even imagine, Hypercharge, it isn't a free game. It isn't a live service game,
No.
meaning there's no season passes. There's no, it's not a type of game you buy. There's battle passes, season passes, in-game events. It is an experience. It was designed that way. It was designed for couch co-op at its heart. It's
Yeah.
designed to bring a friend online. It's not designed to have huge amounts of play base in order for it to survive. We have most, our majority of our players are offline, again, split screen. But we always get pulled up Steam charts, 80 players, it's dead, laughing and all. And it does get to me, I'll be honest, because it's like, for one, Steam charts doesn't show offline players. It doesn't even show private profiles. We have the legit numbers, and it's in the tens of thousands at Xbox still. And it's because people, it's the way you host the game on Hypercharge. People host games, have fun, leave, save, it saves where you're at, and you jump in and out very easy.
Yep.
It's not like a Helldivers or anything like that. And with the Game Pass thing, it was, yes, I did mention it in 2022 when we officially announced it, and it was because at the time we didn't the dynamics of Game Pass was different then. You'll all know later on in the years, 2022, there's lots of data that came out about, especially and new discussions from developers saying Games Pass, it's maybe not as lucrative as it was years ago. And I've seen that Cooking Simulator got right. I'll get to this, right. So I did say that in the tweets, but it's because it was what it worked. It was marketing. I wanted to get the attention of Xbox, and I wanted us to be able to have the opportunity to speak about Games Pass. I didn't do those tweets because we never had the intention of going on it at the time, and where Hypercharge was feature-wise, we didn't really. To be honest, we didn't know tons. We didn't know loads about Games Pass, like exactly how it worked at the time. But it was just me doing a tweet. I'm not a corporate marketer or anything like that. It worked. I did it a few more times, and we ended up having a talk with Xbox about Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe this is our fault. Nothing really transpired after that. Maybe we should have pushed it more. But because there were so many delays with Hypercharge, and because we're not guaranteed to get on Game Pass, we were like, and because of the way it changed the dynamics of Game Pass, and because of Hypercharge, the route we were taking it more over those 2 years of, with Xbox, developing it for Xbox, I was certainly scared of, well, we can't just ring up Phil Spencer, for example, and say, can we have a talk about Game Pass now? It takes time, especially then when we're still an unknown indie. To even after we went viral, we don't have a special phone number. It takes time to make connections and speak. I was like, well, what if it's going to take a month to get in touch with Xbox and the right meetings and organize it? And what if then Games Pass, they say we can get you on it, but it's going to be later on in the year, late summer, or I can't delay it anymore. I'm at the face of the company, the forefront. I was like, we can't delay it anymore. At this point, we do have to release. So we were just like, well, the thing is, it's not the type of game for Hypercharge. Isn't necessarily the type of game for Game Pass. We don't need play numbers to survive. We don't want in-game microtransactions or anything like that. And we want to just release it. So that was basically it. I did those tweets then because at the time we wanted to learn more. It was working. That was it. I would still, if we go on Games Pass whenever next year, haven't had the talks yet. It will probably come up at some point, I imagine. We may still do it, but Cooking Simulator, and this is public, I believe it's Cooking Simulator, got offered, was it $600,000 for Game Pass? Could you imagine if we went on Game Pass? We probably, again, I'm hypothetical here, and I'm not bad mouthing Game Pass here. I'm just saying, what I know. That's a big game, Cooking Simulator. An unknown indie game at the time. They might have said, that's just, again, this was never said, it's just hypothetical. What they would have said, here's $250,000 Game Pass. We've made probably over $3 million through betting on ourselves, through doing the marketing.
Right, because
we would have lost out hugely.
Yeah, and I was.
Well, I think
I was just gonna say,
I'm not saying
like,
Game Pass
how,
is bad or anything
right,
like that.
right,
You
and
know?
I mean, that's what I was gonna say in a rebuttal to what people are commenting to you and saying like, oh, well, then it's a failure, it's dead on arrival. Well, I mean, you are seeing success, so without Game Pass, how is Game Pass equaling success for you when you're already seeing success? That
Yeah,
doesn't make any
exactly.
sense, and I don't know why people would argue otherwise. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Lady V.
No, no, no. I was going to say something very similar. And the fact of the matter is like all of the contracts and things that go through Game Pass are very different for every developer and things like that that go through them. What I was going to say is the people that downplay Game Pass are also frequently just the same people that downplay indie games in general. I and we've said this before, I think, in our very first podcast. I'm not convinced that any of these people actually play games.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they want to send some hate, they can send it to my Twitter account
Yeah.
because I do not care about these people.
No.
But you know, they want to, you know, put down indie developers for not having AAA numbers. They want to put down things that go
Yeah.
onto Game Pass and say it's Game Pass fodder, indie fodder. Like, they're not gamers. They're not
Yeah.
people who care about the medium. They're not people that care about actually good gaming experiences, whether they're on Game Pass or not, or on Steam or not. You bring me up a Steam player chart and you say that this is something about how good a game is. I am disregarding your opinion for the rest of history. You can fuck right off. None of this.
Well, I guess, like,
I don't have time for these people. I just don't think they play games. They play Twitter. They play
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
console wars, and they can suck it, to be perfectly honest. Like, you guys have done so well. It's a magnificent story. And you know, you can send them my email address. I'll fight them off.
Well,
I just don't want people to think, you know, it was a conspiracy thing that we were doing and I was misleading people. I'm just, again, I was just trying to, and it worked. We got the attention of Xbox through Games Pass, and at the time we thought it could have been a possibility, but it never happened. Again, maybe we should have pushed it more, but in the end, we made the right choice because we
Yeah.
certainly. I think it's safe to say I don't think Xbox would, if they didn't offer Cooking Simulator $3 million, would they have
Yeah.
offered a little small indie game $3 million? Come on, like, and again, Games Pass is great. It allows you to also save money for cool indie games that aren't on it. So it has its pros. It's not me bad mouthing it at all. It has its place. I use it. It's just it was targeted at the trolls who were saying dead on arrival this because there is a I see it all the time. It is a weird. There is a mentality shift in it in this I'll say big minority where we're not buying it's on Game Pass, and it is upsetting to see this mentality because in a lot of indie games certainly just aren't going to get picked up at all unless it goes on Game Pass, so they're not being given a chance. And that's one of the reasons. That's probably why I've had to really, really, you know, market the game as the best as I could. Because I mean, it's difficult selling on any platform, but like but it was targeted at the trolls that tweet, and it was very frustrating for me. Like I said, when they're pulling up past tweets from years ago and using it against me, it's like I'd still advocate even if we were on Games Pass, you know. We didn't get declined on Game Pass. It's just nothing transpired afterwards, you know. That's all it was. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. I always get paranoid talking about it because I don't want to come across that I'm saying something bad about Game Pass.
No.
no, I mean,
Never
you
is
made
gonna be
yourself
one.
perfectly clear that
These
you
people
weren't
just
talking.
don't play games. They
No,
just don't play games.
exactly. I think these people are looking for something to just bitch and moan about, just in general. I don't, and I mean, I'm not a game developer. I'm not a professional. I'm an armchair expert at best. But I can say this with confidence: when when you have success, you know, it's the people who aren't doing anything who will judge you the hardest and who will come at you the hardest. And I think, you know, don't if I could give you any uh, uh, um, advice, I would say just try to block out the haters. Try to block out
Yeah,
that
no.
noise, because it's just taking positive energy from you and draining it into ways where it's just it's pointless, because once you overcome this like little bubble of drama over Game Pass, yada yada yada, well, when you guys eventually release on PlayStation, there's going to be some other piece of drama that's going to come out, and somebody's going to have an issue with it, and it's console warriors are always going to be console warring. Like, it's never going to end, and I think no matter who you are, no
Like I
matter
said,
what
we're not
developer you are, it's never going to stop.
Yeah. I mean, you probably saw one guy who was like, "Oh, only 24,000 sales." Then we sell 100,000, and it's a million was sucked for this game. Even if we sold 100 million, they start comparing us probably to GTA at that point. We would never,
Right.
we can never win.
No, you can never
Yeah.
win.
Oh, definitely.
And
But
then,
what you can do is just tag me in the thread and I'll be there, because I'll just
I will
argue with
do
them
that
all
now.
damn day.
I'll do that now.
I'm from Glasgow. I will wake up and I will choose violence. Like,
Oh, brilliant.
and then Dano, now that you're back, did you have any thing you want to comment to the whole entire Game Pass thing, or any more questions?
I don't know what I missed there. Sorry for leaving there.
Oh, you're fine.
No, because I was just thinking as you were talking about the Game Pass and the exposure and all that, like, that doesn't even guarantee anything either, because I don't know how it works from a developer standpoint. Like, this 2 weeks from now, there's 6 new releases coming out on Game Pass. Like, within 3 days, like, 1 or 2 of those games are not gonna get any exposure, regardless. Even everyone's gonna say it's free, so just being in Game Pass doesn't guarantee anything for any other than you're gonna get a check like before
Yeah.
you
And we
release the
don't know how
game. But
much that
other
would
than
be,
that,
Mm.
yeah, exactly.
It's not guaranteed. All we know is of Game Pass from a development side and publicly is that they offer a sum of money to be on Game Pass. And again, imagine if everybody experienced Hypercharge on Games Pass, and then because of the type, if you understand what I mean, the type of game it is, it's not the type of. It sounds like I'm downplaying it, but I'm not. There's nothing wrong with buying a game, getting hours and hours out of it, and then not having infinite replayability. Some games, and especially when we played when we were younger, like in the 90s, you there's this stigma to games that have to have infinite replayability. Some games are memorable. Some games you can get your money's worth out without it being thousands and thousands of hours. But there's this mentality, I think, with some gamers where it's like, what? The story campaign's only 20 hours? What? I thought it's not 100 hours. And it's just like, if all those Game Pass players played it, what's going to happen afterwards? We're not doing tons and tons of updates. It is near the end. We have some updates planned, but I've been very open about this. We've worked on the game very long, technically limited to a degree. And again, it's not a live service game. We don't want to add copious amounts of DLC. We don't really want to add any more DLC. We don't want to add season events and all this stuff. We want to stay true to its nature, to the game's nature. So what's going to happen when everybody's played this game? They're not going to really come back to it. Versus what we've done now, all the exposure the game's got as a paid game, like it used to be in the good old days. You pay for, and the good thing about Hypercharge, guess what? When you pay for the game, you get access to everything that's shown in the game. I know we have the supporter pack, but it's nothing. It's not even advertised in the game. There's no in-game microtransactions. So I think it's been a huge. I think we made the best decision for us as a team and for the game. I really do. I even think for players, because you feel like you're investing in something and you get your money's worth. In our opinion, you really do. There's so much hours worth in Hypercharge.
Yeah.
For a story campaign, what's that website that tells you it? It's a really good amount of hours just to do it on the easiest difficulty, even without unlocking everything. For me, that's a really good price, but that's what it used to be like, didn't it, with games? But now it's just this shift in mentality. It's not with everyone where it's like, oh, the game's it's so frustrating. I've not said it earlier. It's again when people bring up the Steam chat numbers, and it's just like, it's only got 20 people online, and I'm like, it's dead. How
None
can a
of these people
game
own
that's
PCs.
offline be dead?
I will maintain that none of these people have ever seen a PC in their life. Like,
Yeah. But how can a game that supports offline and split screen die? It can never die.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It can never die.
That's like saying, nobody's playing GoldenEye in the Nintendo 64, so obviously it's a shit game.
Right, there's nothing on the
Like,
Steam charts.
What? You
Well,
can still like you just fire up in your house.
you've
Yeah.
inadvertently.
I spoke about this.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Sergeant.
I was saying, I spoke about this a few weeks ago. Like, live service games, not everything needs to be live service. I'm sick
And you
of
love live service.
No, I'm sick of them. don't.
He's gonna be on
Like-
Fallout 76 so fast after we're done
Yeah,
recording.
it's like a job, right? You pay for that battle pass, and you have to get your money's worth. And they kind of force you back to more and more and more. Like, yeah, I'm so wrapped with Hypercharge. I'm having so much fun with it. Finding those hidden bobbleheads, like, and they're not even, the bobbleheads are not even included in the challenges. They're like something extra. And I found one once. I was like, what the hell is this? Of course, now I have to shoot everything to make sure it's not a collectible.
You bring that up, and I'm telling you, like, I had that thought that I definitely wanted to mention on this podcast, so I'm glad you brought it up. But, like, there's that moment where I was in the garage, and I'm, like, climbing this tool, like, the thing, the hooks where you hang tools, and, like, you look over to the left, and I look down this pit, and I'm like, oh, shoot, there's a collectible down there, and, like, drop down in there, and then I gotta climb the nails to get back out. I'm like, that's brilliant. Like, it actually made me excited to keep finding collectibles. I've never once, and I'm not being over dramatic here, I've never once given a shit about a collectible in my life until that moment. And I was like, that's awesome. But you've actually inadvertently answered my last question, which because before we went on here, I was like trying to like type up any questions and whatnot. And one of the things that went through my mind was like, okay, what's their roadmap? And then I just like had this moment with myself, and I'm like, oh, well, they're just not that type of game. Like, they're not going to have a roadmap. And speaking to that, like, yeah, you're not wrong. $30 for a complete edition of a game that, like you said, there's 14 levels. There are 14 maps. Am I wrong? Is there more than that?
14,
Yeah, there's 14 maps, and you've got so much content in there. You do have the online, you do have the split screen, and it's kind of like that Immortals of Avium CEO or director, I can't remember what his name was, from last year, how he was talking about, hey, we did everything right, and, you know, we still come into all these issues. And I mean, what I'm hearing from you is kind of similar. It's just like, you did everything right. You're hitting all these boxes, and you're only asking for $30 damn dollars, and people are just like, it should be free. Why isn't it a live service game? But if it was a live service game, people would be like, I'm so sick and tired of live services. Again, you can't win no matter what you do, but you guys are sticking to what you guys know what you want. You guys are going for what you want. You're succeeding in that. The numbers are showing that you're succeeding in that. And, you know, again, I've said it once, I'll say it twice. Fuck the haters.
No, you are very right. It's something I'm learning more and more. It's and it's really like, again, very cliche saying, but you're not doing something right unless you've got haters, and it amazes me every time just what happens. I mean, how are having people stalk my personal LinkedIn and stuff when stuff were going viral? I was like, what are you doing? Yeah, honestly, it's amazing what's the lengths.
Yeah. I don't want to be the guy who's like telling gamer to touch grass, but Jesus Christ, bro. Like, what? You're stalking people's personal LinkedIn. Yeah. That's weird.
Yeah, because one of them in particular, because I didn't have, and the reason I didn't have the history about my painting and decorating, the reason was because my personal website, I've been changed so many times. My new one, I've got all my story on there, and I was waiting to put it all up, and he was like, so he's a liar who's never painted or decorated. I'm like, motherfucker, I've got pictures of with me overall. Yeah, I've got video. I have a video of me actually dancing. I was going to post it. It's so annoying, but I shouldn't let it get to me. It's difficult. I am a sensitive person at heart, and it's really annoying.
He's made this game. He's never painted a living room in his life. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I can't.
It's
No,
wild.
I would-
The internet is such a negative place
You're
at the
better
moment.
man than I.
but it is such a it can be such a positive place as well, you
Absolutely.
know.
Yeah.
It does have. I do think it's more positive than negative. It's just where you look, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how
Negative is a lot louder.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
But look how all the Xbox community has shown up.
Yeah.
Look at the support.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we have 4.6 out of 5-star rating, 1,000 reviews globally on Xbox. They've all shown up. It's insane. So
I haven't done my review yet. I have to pop that up on the Xbox.
yeah, don't forget to do that.
Yeah, why are we not over to a Gamer Social Club community night playing Hypercharge? Like, I'm pretty sure we've not played it yet. Like,
No, we haven't.
as a
We've
community.
been trying. We've been trying to get it together, but it just hasn't. The stars haven't aligned.
Okay, I'll stay up till 1 a.m. so that everyone can play. Everyone else can play at 8 p.m. in the US.
Yeah, because what time is it?
Have
for
any of you got
right now?
your Sorry, go on.
Oh no, you go ahead, Joe. You're fine.
Have any of you got you don't have an Xbox right near you, do you, to test
Yeah.
something?
I sure do.
Could anyone go on
Yeah.
the store and just see? So I'm getting a lot of comments saying that, and I've posted about it, but is it can you see Hypercharge like advertised in the actual front page of the store? I don't know if it's in the US or just the.
Yeah, my Xbox is in my living room, so I can't check.
Yeah. All right. So if I bring up the store, chugging.
No, mine's is on the front page.
Oh,
So
really?
I literally just opened the store. Big one is obviously Shadow of the Air Tree, and just underneath it is Hypercharge Unboxed.
Okay, that's cool. Good.
Like,
That's really cool.
I can literally
Yeah, show us.
please, if you can see how messy my living room is, please don't mention it.
All I could see was
But,
a really cool
yeah,
Darth
yeah.
Vader on your
Okay.
shelf.
Oh, it's there. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And then do not look at any of the other mess in my house, please. Thank you. I will expect you to edit that out, please, Nathan.
Oh no way!
You're welcome.
Zoom in on
I
all
can do that.
the weird stuff.
Nobody needs to see
Oh.
the amount of cardboard that I own in my home. Like, no one needs to see this.
There's toy battles you're making. It's for the imagination. It's all for the
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey, you just gave him a new idea for the map in Hypercharge 2, all right?
I'm gonna use your room for
17,000 cardboard boxes just lying around in the house of someone who has probably got a problem around cardboard boxes.
Well, congratulations. That's awesome. You guys are like on the front of the marketplace.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
cool.
Right there.
Dano, did you have any last questions?
That I can think of at the moment, no.
All right. Well, Joe, thank you so much. You told us you had an hour and you've given us 2. So seriously, like time is
Time flies when you're having
very
fun.
valuable, and you've given us 2 hours, and I can't tell you how much we appreciate that, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joe.
Yeah,
You're
no worries.
welcome.
You're very welcome. Let me know once when it all goes live, and I'll give it a post on our socials as well. But yeah, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we will go
You're our
live tomorrow
first
morning.
guest.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, awesome.
And this is actually Dano's first time on a podcast as well. So,
Yeah.
but next
If you couldn't tell by the good background here and stuff.
by the
This was
softball
Dano's
bats on the
first thing,
wall.
but somehow I've just shown everyone the state of my living room. It's outrageous.
But next week we are going to be talking about let's see, First Descendant. Is that what the game's called?
Yeah.
I think we're going to
Yep.
be talking about First Ascended, play that a little bit, and then Dano, will you be done with the article of like the halfway through the year game of the year?
Yeah, I'm gonna be working on that this weekend. It'll
Okay.
be up.
Okay,
July 1st.
so then we're going to talk about that article next week as well. So we're aiming to post episodes on Sundays, but this episode specifically, right now, as of filming, we're filming on a Friday night. We'll probably get it posted by Saturday morning at the latest. So, just stay tuned for
That's
what
gonna
we've
leave
got
us
to come.
Sunday to play Hypercharge
Yeah.
as is right. And
Yeah, what are we all doing right now?
Like everyone together.
I legit might hop on right after this to play some Hypercharge.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Fantastic.
pumped. This has been great, guys. And yeah, please, Joe, feel free to come back anytime. Hop in the Discord chat. We should fucking play Hypercharge. That would be great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, that'd be sick.
We
Let me know
absolutely
when
should.
if you do play it beforehand, definitely.
Will do. Will do. Well, thanks again so much, and you all have a great rest of your day.
All right,
Yeah,
guys,
thank
thanks a
you.
lot.
Cheers,
Peace
guys.
out.
Take
Take care,
care.
guys.
Thank you.